Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
Three people. Hello, how are you? So we'll get started in a little bit. I'll let some people trickle in. The other meeting obviously ran a little bit late. How was your weekend, Stephanie?
It was good. Met with friends in person. I like started meeting with people in person, just my acquaintances and stuff, or friends, etc.
Nice.
So that's been lots of fun, just talking about what I'm doing now. And yeah, it's good.
What was that like your first time like really meeting people in person for a long time?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Nerve-wracking. It's almost
Exactly.
it's almost like, oh God, this is awkward. Um, I've been pushing my luck, admittedly. Luckily enough, not that I know of, I don't think I've ever gotten COVID, but you know what? I'm young enough that I could have had it and I would have had no idea, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm double vax and all that stuff, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm probably gonna get a booster just to be safe. But in any event, good. How did that go? Was it fun? Did you get any lead generation done?
Good. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And actually, one of my friends, she owns a home and is looking to move eventually. So I'm like, okay, I'm listing your house when you're ready, and then we're going to find you a new one.
I
So,
love it. That's
yeah.
awesome. Good stuff. That's how it's done. All righty. So, we might have a small class today. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to start going now. And when people trickle in, they trickle in. Let's see. Matt Wheeler, how are you, bud?
What's up? How are you? I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was nice. It was my birthday actually. So
Hey, happy
I
birthday.
thank you. I was working most of it, but I did hang out with my family a little bit yesterday. So
Nice,
it was
nice.
good.
Do anything fun? Just hang out with the family. That's what you
Yeah,
did.
no, I didn't do anything fun. I mean, I will be going to Atlanta in 2 weeks as like a late birthday trip, but um I just kind of stay here for my actual birthday.
Nice. I like it. Are you from Atlanta?
No, I'm from here actually. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
just yeah, me and my two of my friends are just kind of meeting up. We all live in different places, so we're just meeting up out there and
Atlanta's a fun city. I love Atlanta. It's
yeah, we hope
great.
so.
So, hey, there you go. Awesome, awesome. Well, good stuff. Do any lead generation over the birthday?
I did. It was through Instagram mostly, but I was like contacting people.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Who else is on? Unmi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How was your weekend? Do any lead generation?
Okay.
Not
No.
yet. Okay, no worries. We'll get to it. And
Okay.
who's in the classroom? I don't usually host in the classroom so far. Oh, I think it's on mute. It's on mute. Just kidding. Well, hi class. All right. So unfortunately, the classroom's muted, so that'll be interesting for them. I think there's two people in there, but very good. Okay, so this is the 9th class in Ignite. We're just going to get right into it. I definitely don't mind when the classes are smaller because it's a little more. Um, did they like skip one? A couple? So I thought the last one we did was 6.
Yeah. I feel like today's supposed to be 7.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
But
the
I
last
saw
one we
9
did.
on the handout. Am I crazy? No, it says Ignite number 9. Huh, that's weird. Oh well. Well, we're on 7. So I'll send an email out to them because I definitely remember doing 6 before. So we're doing number 7, even though it says 9. Number 7 is win the buyer. In this market, let me tell you, I really feel like if you're looking to find business quick and at least to start working with clients, this is a heavy, there's a lot of buyers out there. Let's just say that. So there are way more buyers than there are listings available. But that said, keep in mind, being that there's more buyers than there are listings, it's going to be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very competitive market. So You might get a client really quick. You might not close it as quickly as you might think. But to be honest, when you're first starting out, I think it's great just to get a bill of service, so to speak, and just start working with people. So, one, it's great for your psyche. Two, you never know. You might have a really ambitious buyer who gets, how important it is to be competitive in this market. For example, I had a client, my good friend from college, actually. I went to school up in Santa Barbara, and what a party, by the by. But in any event, she called me and she said, listen, I don't know any real estate agent out here. I know you and I trust you. And Santa Barbara really, really well. Would you be able to service this area? And it was during the pandemic, like during the heat of it. I think it was like last spring, actually. Or this spring, technically, whatever, you know what I mean? And we just worked remotely. So whenever she went to a showing, we would FaceTime. But anyway, besides that, from the moment I talked with her to decide to start working with her, we got her into escrow within less than 30 days, probably like 2 weeks. So like maybe 20 days. It's a little bit shorter than that. So my point is that doesn't necessarily mean because they're a buyer, you're not going to get into escrow soon. She was very, very motivated. She had done a lot of research, knowing that it is a very competitive market. I think it helped that her parents were doing the down payment. So I think she was a little more willing to be a little bit more aggressive. But with that said, we were able to close something like that. And so just keep that in mind. Not all buyers are going to be a little gun shy. So this session is mainly about getting the buyers. Let me share my screen with y'all. First things first, today expectations. We want to learn how to find buyers, qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation, educate your buyers and set service expectations, learn and practice your buyer consultation, which by the by, I've learned is just as important as a listing appointment or a listing consultation. Ask the buyer agreement to be signed. Listen, we want an exclusive agency whenever we get a listing. Why not when we're working with buyers? But we'll talk about that a little bit more. And to establish the next steps. Now, this is for me to devote the majority of the time on activities in class. Obviously, I'm not in the class right now, so we're going to do that to the best of our abilities. Show great role model videos in class, if there are any. I'm not sure if there are for this one. And role model what it takes to be highly successful. I'm decently successful. When I'm closing 20, 30 a year, then I'll call myself highly successful. But in any event, report out your daily 10-4. We just did that. I asked everybody how their lead generation went this past weekend. For example, for me, just because if I'm asking you to report your numbers, I'll report mine. Talked to about 160 people this last week. I was hosting a event for all my past clients and all my friends and family, which by the by are my future clients, hopefully. And working with them and talking with them, was really awesome. I got 4 buyers out of the event. We'll see how serious they are. Most of them are not pre-approved. One of them is, and we'll go from there. But so just so you know, lead generation does not always have to be picking up the phone and dialing, for numbers or door knocking or whatever. You can throw events. You can have a coffee thing. I did like a open bar and hors d'oeuvres, and it was probably more expensive than it should have been. But the point is you can do a coffee date. You can do, tea. There's a great tea room that a friend of mine, she loves it. It's what is it? God, it's like this tea room where they do these like tea parties for like groups of people. And one of her friends is just, having a fun girls tea party event or whatever. Now everybody's paying for it themselves, but my point is we could also organize things like that for our groups of friends, et cetera, and use it as an opportunity to lead generate. It doesn't have to be so obvious. You could just say, hey, let's all have a fun tea, sit down or whatever, and then casually bring it up, knowing that you're going to talk to them about real estate. So anyway, aside from that. Okay, so first things first, we want to go over some of our scripts that we have in the material. Now, keep in mind, I like us to go verbatim for what the script says, but the reason why I want us to learn these scripts is so that when we kind of tweak them and make them our own, because let's face it, I don't like to use somebody else's language when I'm talking with somebody. I usually like to model my own vernacular and my own, cadence and speech or whatever. But by learning this, you're able to turn it into your own. And you can still use the exact same points in the script and just kind of tweak it to your own language. So we're going to go do this, and I'm going to just call on somebody randomly. Unmi, if you could help me out with this script for, I don't like renters. So let's go do newlyweds. If you can read that off the screen, I'll be the newlywed that you're calling, and I'll try to maybe like trick you a little bit, but just try to stay to the script as much as possible.
Actually, I've never done it this one before, so I'm really nervous. How can I just read it?
Okay, how about this? I'll do it. You'll be the newlywed that I'm calling, and try to don't even look at the script and just treat it as if I'm actually calling you. So if there's a pause and it's inappropriate for you to respond back, respond back. If there's something that maybe you wouldn't normally do, if somebody like randomly called you, feel free to respond how you would normally respond, and let's go from there. Sound good? Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna pretend I'm calling you. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Jared Medlinski. I'm with Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm really, really great. I just want to make sure, is this Unmi?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Unmi, this is Jared, but I just want to let you know I'm calling first and foremost because I heard you recently got married, and I wanted to say congratulations.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. And also second, because a lot of people who get married tend to be in this boat, I just wanted to see if you considered buying a new home or if you already own a home.
Actually, I'm trying to buy a home now. So I'm looking for some houses now.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I'd love to sit down with you to explain the process of owning your own home or an investment property. It's no obligation to you on your part. Would you be able to meet tomorrow for about 15 minutes?
Oh, sure. Yeah, 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Absolutely. Great. What time works for you? 2 or 3 o'clock?
Yeah, 2 will be fine.
2 o'clock. Perfect. I have a great little coffee shop called Alfred. It's right at the corner of my office. We can meet over there. If you're familiar with it, it's in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. This is going to be really cool. Okay. Well, and because you're a newlywed, you typically know other newlyweds or others getting married who haven't bought a home yet. And you'd be doing them a great service by introducing us and letting me talk to them for 5 minutes to share with them with the opportunity of owning their own home. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Umi, I'm really excited to meet with you. Thank you so much. And we'll go over it tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. See you there.
Awesome. So now, again, this script is not how I would probably say it. I'm trying to keep to it as much as possible. But, for example, there are registries that you can look up for newlyweds, and you could literally just call newlyweds constantly. There's also whenever you know a friend or a family member who's getting married, it's a great opportunity to give them a call. Frankly, I would probably do it a little something like this. So Umi, let's do it one more time, and I'll give you a call. And let's pretend like I know you, for example, and you're a friend of mine that I just called.
Okay.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Umi, it's Jared. How are you?
Good, Jared. How are you?
I'm good. I just saw the post on Instagram. I see that you just got engaged. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
How long have you and your husband to be known each other? I mean, I feel like you guys just started dating like, I don't know, a year ago.
Yeah, maybe a year. Yeah, right.
Wow, that's amazing. Love at first sight. Listen, I wanted to ask you, have you ever thought about buying soon? Because usually a lot of newlyweds, when they get married, they start looking for a house. Have you ever started talking about that with your fiance? Is that even on your radar?
Oh, no, not yet, but we are renting a house now, but we are interested in buying a house soon.
Oy vey, renting. Ugh, I hate it. But listen, I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to speak. One, because I haven't seen you in a little while, and I'm trying to secure an invitation to the wedding. And two, I'd love to meet your husband. But then third, frankly, I'd like to talk to you about the process of finally buying a home and what's the opportunities that are presented in today's market. Frankly, a lot of times people who are renting right now, after they do their down payment, they find out that their mortgage is almost exactly the same as what they were renting. I don't know, does tomorrow work for you?
Yeah, sure. Tomorrow will be fine.
Awesome. And do you think you could bring your fiance along with you too?
Yeah, I'll bring him too.
Awesome. I'm really excited about it. Let's meet at Alfred's, right down the street from my office. But more importantly, how did you two meet?
We met at college.
College. Wow. That's awesome. I love it. That's really cute, actually. Did he do anything special to ask you out?
No, nothing special.
Okay, fair enough. Well, listen, I haven't seen you in a long time, but we have plenty of time to catch up tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, good. See you there.
All right, see you there. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
So my point is I pretty much did almost the same script, but I'm using my own language. It sounds a little bit more natural. So I want everybody to kind of realize what you can do to the scripts just to kind of make it a little bit easier for you to, use them and talk to people, etc. So for example, I could take this script and write some bullet points, for example, when I'm calling people, and just kind of keep that as like a reference, and just go like, okay, and just have a normal conversation with your friend. So very good. Let me see. Let's do renters, even though I hate renters. Stephanie Sheridan, can you do renters for us? And I'll be the renter you're cold calling.
Sounds good. Hi, my name is Stephanie with, oh, sorry, ring, ring.
Hello, this is Jared.
Hey, Jared, it's Stephanie. I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and I was wondering when you'll be ready to stop paying your landlord and start paying yourself. May I explain?
Oh, wow. I mean, a long time ago, I wanted to stop paying my landlord. I just don't know how to pay myself. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I help people buy homes, and I've found that a lot of people don't think they can afford to buy their home, but they may be able to buy a home for almost the same amount that they're paying in monthly rent.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
heard about that. Yeah, sure.
Well,
What's the first
great.
step?
I mean, I would love to sit down and with you and explain the process of owning your own home. It's no obligation on your part, and maybe we could just meet for 15 minutes. Would tomorrow work for you?
Yeah, that works for me. 3 o'clock, I'm free. Is that good for you?
That's perfect.
Yay, awesome. I'm really excited. Thank you for the call. I mean, so random, but I'm really stoked.
Exactly. Well, let's meet at Alfred and at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll teach you how you can buy your own home.
Awesome. Sounds good. So that was great. Perfect. Good job. So yeah, I mean, and frankly, renters, for a lot of my friends, I'm 34. Not everybody my age is ready to buy. Some of them are still renting. And a lot of them who are still renting don't realize that whatever they're renting right now, they could buy the equivalent of that unit if they wanted to. Because frankly, a lot of my friends, they realize fully that they're just renting. They have no reason to rent a $5,000, condo in the Wilshire corridor. They have no purpose in renting a, $7,000 a month, single family home, somewhere. They're renting, a $2,200 a month, apartment at Pico Robertson area. They're not spending crazy amounts of money. Now, if they were willing, however, to move to, let's say, for example, to the Valley, or maybe they're already living in the Valley renting. If they were to find something out like in, I don't know, Tarzana, Toluca Lake, Sherman Oaks, depending on the actual condo, they could find something for $500,000, $600,000. And depending if they put down 20%, their mortgage, monthly is going to be plus or minus a little bit, about the same as what they're renting right now. And it might even be a slight upgrade as far as the unit is concerned. So a lot of them don't even realize that they can, in fact, buy if they really wanted to. And part of our job as realtors is to explain the benefits of being a homeowner. There's tax incentives. There's, you're building equity versus just, wasting money every single month on a rental property. And so when you explain it in those terms, a lot of people all of a sudden go, you know what, maybe I could buy, my first condo in Culver City, or maybe I could buy my first condo in Sherman Oaks, or whatever, or what have you. And it's really a great opportunity. Now, that said, there are some of my friends who, when I bring this up, they're like, I'm only going to buy when I buy a house. That's their prerogative. Frankly, I think their financial picture is a little bit different from other people. They got a lot of parents' money. They got, they have a nice employment, et cetera. So they're kind of just like, no, we're just saving so we can buy our big purchase. I would argue with those people, in fact, though, why would you do that? Just buy something cheap now, and then once you like amortize your loan and you're about equal with it, which should probably only take, depending on the price, you could have a fairly large mortgage comparatively to what the property is, and be pretty much, equal with, how much you owe and how much equity you have within, 5 to 6 years. And if they're going to take that long anyway to save up, why not just do that now? Because then you could use that property as leverage as your down payment for your next home. So then you're not taking money out of your own bank account, you're using it as leverage, and then you're able to rent that property out, which will, one, pay for the mortgage, and two, which would probably also pay for a little bit of your other mortgage as well. So I frankly also have that conversations with those people too. Not all of them really care that much, which is fine. But it is a very, very savvy thing to do financially. Now, granted, becoming a landlord, becoming, all that, it's a little bit stressful for some people. And if they don't have time for that, that might not fit their needs. So we also have to be, mindful of what their needs are and not just push something onto them. But just wanted to bring that up too. There are ways to explain that to other people as well. Okay, moving on down. Getting your head in the game. Finding buyers is simple. It's not, well, depending. It's not hard to find buyers to work with. They visit open houses and they look for properties online or through the KW app. Buyers are everywhere at all times, essentially raising their hands and saying, work with me. Two, servicing buyers is inexpensive. Buyers are more time consuming than costly. Apart from the gas that you'll be putting in your car as you show homes, your expenses will be very low. Earning with buyers is quick. If you do it right, in the right buyer, in a great buyer transaction, you can help that person find a home and write an offer in one day. Working efficiently with buyers is your key to generating income quickly. Now, again, I do find that to be true, sort of. Los Angeles is a, how do I describe it? Los Angeles is a very interesting microcosm of an economy and also our mindsets over here. We're all trying to kind of one up each other in a way. So a lot of the buyers who can afford, let's say, a $500,000 condo, a $600,000 condo, they don't really value that unit that much. I've just noticed that. So a lot of times you'll have people, well, I wish I could get this place, which is like an $800,000, place. So just keep that in mind in LA. Sometimes you have to overcome that objection or that issue. But if you know that ahead of time, keep in mind that that buyer is going to take a little bit of educating to figure that part out. And don't get discouraged if they don't, write an offer the first day. Or if they do write an offer, it might be a lowball offer. And you might have to have the conversation of, listen, I have no problem writing this offer. I'm just letting you know it's my personal recommendation that you should be around here. So let's say it's a $600,000 home. It's listed for $600,000, but you do a CMA and it shows that the most recent comp sold for $650,000. We might want to have that conversation with our client and show them the comp, do a CMA just like we would do for a listing, for example, and show them, hey, listen, I'm noticing, because I'm a listing agent as well as a buyer's agent, if I'm taking a property, I'm going to make sure that I do my due diligence to see exactly what other homes, especially if it's a condo, ideally in the exact same building, how much did this one sell for and how long ago did it sell for? Well, the most recent sale is $650,000 for the exact identical unit. The only difference is maybe the paint colors are different or the furniture is different. Other than that, it's identical. If I were the listing agent, I would not list it at $650,000. I would have listed it at $650,000. And if you notice, the one that sold for $650,000 was originally listed for $620,000. So what they're doing right here is very clear to me as a professional real estate agent and as a listing agent, that they're just underpricing it to gain more interest. We can write that $600,000 offer, but I want to advise you that it's likely going to go for $650,000 or even above. How do you want to proceed? They're going to tell you 600. Great. Write that offer. But when you do get rejected, ask the agent, what was the final, offer price that you ended up going with? If you're working with a chill agent, they might tell you. They might not tell you though, in the event that they're afraid that the offer is going to fall out and they have to go to backups. But more than likely they will tell you, oh, listen, listen, bud, you're at 600,000. We ended up selling for 675. Okay, that's what we're in escrow for. And you take that info and you bring it back to your client, and you want to educate them at that point to be able to show them, hey, I wasn't bullshitting you. I was actually being 100% upfront and honest. So the next time this happens, they're more inclined to go, shit, you're right. I should probably come up a little bit, shouldn't I? Okay, let's do that. And that's exactly the same thing that happened with my friend in Santa Barbara, actually. The first offer we wrote, she did come up and her parents agreed to go up as well, but they were about $5,000 under what I was recommending they go up to. And the irony is that $5,000 difference was literally the difference between the two bids. The two offers, the other offer on the table and our offer, Plus, we had better terms in our deal too. So it really just came down to $5,000. That was it. And they learned that. And the next one we got, no problem. They listened to me exactly. And the funny thing is they're like, holy shit, you were like right on it. And I was like, I know. So keep that in mind. Us as agents, we need to do our due diligence about what we're recommending for our buyers. But okay. So right now we are back to our favorite little funnel diagram. Remember, everything starts with leads. Again, I've said this multiple times in this class. If I sum up this entire course, all 12 of these classes into one or two sentences, it all starts with lead generation. We need to lead generate as much as possible, because the more leads we get, the more contracts and the more paydays we have. And that is the idea of being our own bosses. Okay, make it happen. Converting buyer leads. Working with a buyer can be fun and exciting, touring houses and helping them find their next dream home. The process of working with a buyer can be refined into 3 steps. Find buyers, qualify buyers, sign buyers. That's simple. First, we need to find buyers. Remember, your number one job is, everybody, what's your number one job?
Lead generation.
Oh shit, you get a gold star today. Good job. Awesome, Matt, thank you. Yes, it's lead generation. In this case, it's lead generating for buyers after all. And you can't work with buyers if you don't have any buyers. So the National Association of Realtors, a 2014 profile, we need to get a new one clearly because it's getting pretty old now. Profile of home buyers and seller statistics, 88% of buyers purchased their home through a real estate agent. 40% of buyers found their agent through a referral from friends or family. 12% of buyers used an agent they had already used in the past, and 9% of buyers found their agent visiting an open house. So let me ask you, let's brainstorm some ideas. How can we find buyers? What are looking at these statistics, how can we find some buyers?
Going through our database.
Absolutely. Go through our database. 40% of buyers found their agent through a referral from friends or family. So when that one person says, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm not looking to buy, gosh, for at least another 10 years, does our conversation end right there?
I would say all 10 years. We have a lot of time to get to know each other. Let's start looking right now.
Yeah, but remember, 40% of buyers found their agents through a referral from a friend or a family member. So I'm talking to one person, and they don't want to buy. Does the conversation end there?
Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Just pivot and start a dialogue like, hey, do you have any friends or family that are looking?
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, we want to ask it. Well, how about, do you know anybody else who's going to be buy or sell? We want to ask them that next question. So after they go, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be buying for another 10 years. Well, great. We have a great opportunity to get to know each other for the next 10 years. But until that happens, do you know anybody, any of your friends, family members, coworkers, somebody who's on a softball team that you're playing on, kickball, I don't know, whatever it is. Do you know anybody else who may be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate? And that question, they may still say no, but they may even say, oh, most of my friends, they're not ready to buy either. Well, you never know. And you just want to make sure you keep checking in with those people. You know, hey, listen, I know that you're not looking to buy, but again, you know, if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell, please let me know. I'd love to be able to help them out. So these are very important questions to make sure we're asking. So we can ask all of our friends and family if they know anybody and if they can refer you business. What are some other ways that we can find some buyers?
Go to open houses.
Oh, damn, 9% of buyers found an agent by visiting an open house. Yes, open houses are great opportunities to find buyers. They are literally primed and ready to go. How do I know that? Well, let me think. I haven't sat another agent's open house in a very long time. I want to start doing it again, frankly, now that we're doing open houses. But I think the last 6 listings that I had, I double-ended them. No, sorry, excuse me. Last 4 out of 6 listings that I had, I double-ended them. So the point that I'm saying is, out of 4 of my listings that I had, 4 out of 6 of the listings that I had, I ended up representing the buyer as well. And how did I do that? I met them at the open house. Or if it wasn't that, they saw my internet marketing and they contacted me directly, and then I met them at the open house in person. So yes, you can absolutely find buyers at open houses. And in fact, if you're really, really damn good, that conversion, 9%, would probably go up a lot higher. So, you know, once I have the product, I know I can sell it to somebody else. So definitely keep that in mind. And plus, you're doubling your production in one deal. So that's great. What are some other ways that we can find buyers?
Jared, may I ask a question?
Of course.
I don't understand this part. When we say we can find buyers in open houses, I'm imagining like there's this open house where a seller's agent is representing the seller and she or he.
Sorry. Yes. So time out. Yes. Okay. So I'm not saying go to a random agent's open house and start soliciting buyers. I'm saying if you're talking with a listing agent and you're sitting their open house, so you're the one representing the property on behalf of the listing agent, that's a great way for you to find buyers walking through that open house. But I don't mean go to an open house that you see on the MLS. Yeah. And you've never talked to the listing agent before and you start walking around the open house going, hi, my name's Jared. Are you looking to buy this property? Because I'd love to represent you. You will get kicked out of that open house faster than anything. Because like I said, you know, the open houses that I do, I end up double ending the property. So I want the buyers who are there for myself. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. It's definitely frowned upon to do that. So thank you for asking and thank you for clarifying, because yes, let's definitely clarify that. Don't poach buyers from another agent's open house that you weren't sitting yourself. So for example, does everybody know what I mean by sitting another agent's open?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, Pinar?
I know, yeah. Like
okay,
they ask you for your help because they don't have time.
Correct.
So you represent them on behalf of them, and you have the right to publish your yourself over there in return.
Yes, correct, exactly. So I just want to be very, very clear that that's what I mean. Thank you for asking. 100%. Okay, so also the last one. What is another way we can find buyers?
Geofarming.
Pardon?
Farming.
Farming, yep, that's definitely another way. I'm looking for something that might be on the page.
Oh, like online leads?
No, on the page right now, on the screen.
Oh, sorry, Jared. Oh, my apologies, sorry. A buyer from, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble reading it. From an agent they had used in the past. Okay.
Oh, there we go, shit.
Boom.
Think about it. So the fun part, I don't know if where was it? 12% of buyers have used an agent they have used in the past. Do you know how many people would use an agent that they used in the past? So they asked, I don't know if they're going to show this later in the slides, but how many people, when asked, would you use the agent that you used in the past? How many people said yes to that? Guess, just guess. I know it's not on the page. There's no way you can know the answer, so any guess is fine.
I'd say 10%.
A little bit higher. A lot of it higher.
That would use the same agent that they used before?
Yep.
Oh, well then 50.
Even higher than that.
80%.
Shoot.
Damn, the 80 is pretty damn close.
90.
A little bit lower than 90.
85%.
87.
88%. 88% of of buyers or sellers said that they would use the same real estate agent that they did in the past. But only 12% do. Why is that?
Lack of communication.
Pretty close.
Lack of
I'm looking for
follow-up.
something a little more specific.
Lack of
Lack
follow-up.
of follow.
Follow-up.
Follow up.
Boom. Oh my God. Lack of follow-up. So unfortunately, what happens to us, and I'm guilty of it myself, there's some sellers or buyers that for whatever reason, I stop following up with them. Maybe it's a price point thing. Maybe I don't think they're going to be able to buy again for a while because they just went through a bankruptcy and that's why I was selling their house, which I prevented myself from not following up with them, by the by. I actually invited them to my party. Anyway, whatever it might be, I've found that this happens constantly. For example, there was a lady, I'm not going to say her name, but I sold her condo and she said that she was going to use me to list her property and find her another property. She said, for whatever reason, you know, she can't do it right now. She needs to wait, da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden I called her. This was like in the beginning of, oh gosh, I want to say it was like the beginning of May. It was like May 2nd or something like that. And, you know, she was like, you know, listen, you know, I'm just not ready right now to sell. You know, things are a little bit crazy, but, you know, I'll let you know. And I kept checking in on her, just like making small talk, but I stopped asking her, hey, is a good time to start thinking about listing your property? Hey, are you thinking about listing your property? I stopped asking that question, and guess what happened? She ended up selling it with another realtor that she knows, and she ended up moving in with her boyfriend in Ventura. I was talking with her, but I wasn't asking the question. And guess what? That is about a $25,000 lesson I just learned there, because that would have been my commission if I had followed up with her and actually said, hey, I know I asked you last month, but I just wanted to be sure. Are you thinking about selling again yet? I'm ready to rock and roll whenever you are. It's as simple as that. You don't even have to be that invasive. And frankly, that's my own fault. And the reason why I share that with you is not to say, oh, I'm a horrible agent. I'm a pretty damn good agent. But it's the point to say that even, you know, people who feel like they're, you know, really doing all right in real estate, even we can improve. So don't think that, you know, if you mess up with a buyer or a seller or whatever, oh, you're horrible. You're not. It's just human nature. Unfortunately, we're trying not to be, you know, too rude. We're not trying to be pushy. But the truth of the matter is you never know unless you ask. And so what's even further than that, though, is we need to make sure we're following up with our past clients, because we never know when they're going to be ready to buy an income property. We never know when they're going to be ready to sell their property. We never know when they're going to go, you know what, my son is, you know, just graduating from college. And you know what, as a graduation gift, I want to help him with a down payment on his home. You never know when those are going to happen. So we need to make sure we're still following up with our clients, even if they just purchased a house a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, and just having the conversation of, hey, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? That simple. Make sure we follow up with our clients, because 88% of them will work with us again. But if we don't ask the question, we're never going to work with them. I promise you that. Okay, very good. All right. So lead generation, doing your daily, okay. During your daily 10-4 is an excellent opportunity to find buyers and buyer referrals. Always ask, I just want to see if you have any real estate plans coming up that I can help you with. I appreciate you giving that a thought. If you do come across someone, will you promise to let me know? So at the end of your conversations, when you're talking with people, and I teach this class, so, and I messed up. So for example, I understand it's hard, but don't make the same mistake that I did by not asking this question when you're checking in with your friends. Hey, and by the by, I just wanted to see if you have any real estate plans coming up that I can help you with. Oh, okay, great. Well, listen, I appreciate it. If you let me know, if you can promise, I appreciate it. And if you could, Promise to let me know if you know anybody else who's thinking of buying or selling. Just make sure you follow up with that. Even if you're just having a casual conversation about, I don't know, casual conversation about the Delta variant. I don't know why that came into my mind. The point is, whatever you're talking about, remember to follow up with, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Can I help you with anything? Do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Great, thank you so much. And anyway, thanks for the convo. We'll talk soon. So make sure we do that. All right. Open houses. Rob Munoz, do you want to read open houses for us?
Sure. Open
Thank-
houses. As a new agent, open houses are an easy, fun, and low-cost way to find buyers. Your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, it is to put yourself in the path of opportunity. I'm sorry, I just have to adjust this real quick so I can see it better.
No
One
worries.
second.
I do it all the time.
Okay, there we go. The business opportunity to meet people, add to your database, and set appointments, especially with interested buyers. For many agents, holding open houses is their #1 strategy to build a strong business, and it could be yours too. If you follow a proven model, buyers and sellers come to you, and other visitors may not be actively looking to buy or sell, but a memorable and favorable impression can generate referrals now and business further down the road. Holding an open house can be broken down into these steps. Step 1 is preparation. Step 2 is marketing. Step 3 is connecting with visitors and asking for their contact information. Step 4 is lead cultivation and conversation follow-up. Oh, I'm sorry, conversion.
Conversion follow-up. No, that's person. Perfect.
follow-up.
No worries. Listen, I trip over my own words. Awesome. So yes, holding an open house can be broken down into these steps. Super important. Preparation. If you're not prepared for an open house, it's going to be a shit open house, I promise. You need to make sure you're doing your marketing properly. Even if it's not your listing, this is a great opportunity for you to walk around the neighborhood and do a little bit of door knocking. I promise you, door knocking is a lot easier when you're able to say, I have this listing I'm doing an open house for. It's so much easier. You have a product that they're interested in. Why? Because they live in the neighborhood. They want to know exactly what's selling in their neighborhood. Of course they do. They have an invested interest in this area. And this is your opportunity to go meet those people, because you know what? Most agents don't do it. 3, connecting with the visitors and asking for their contact information. Making sure that you're doing that, but that also comes into preparation. You want to make sure you have a sign-in sheet for all the visitors who are coming. 4, lead cultivation and conversion follow-up. That should be #1, but it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people if that was put down at #1. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not following up with people, you're missing opportunities. And what do I mean by that? Let's say the scenario. Here's a scenario. You're doing an open house. Let's say it's your listing, or you can pretend it's another agent's listing, whatever, but let's just say it's your listing. You have an open house, it's in Beverly Hills, and the block in that area, maybe has 100 homes if you walk around the block. And I don't know, 50, whatever. There's a lot of big houses in Beverly Hills. So the point is, though, you can't door knock in Beverly Hills, so it's a little bit difficult to use it as an example. But let's say, all right, fine. Let's say Bel Air or Beverly Hills Post Office or West LA, whatever. You have an open house. Everything's great. Somebody comes into your open house and they say, "Oh, I'm one of the neighbors." You talk with the neighbor. You're having a conversation. They're wondering how much you think that the house is going to go for. They say, "Oh, well, we thought that you listed it a little bit low." You ask them, "Well, why do you think it was listed a little bit low?" They said, "Well, we did some of our own research, and usually the homes go for about $120, $1,200 per square foot, and you listed it for $1,150 per square foot." Oh, well, listen, we wanted to be competitive, so we brought a lot of, attention to the neighborhood. We've already received 12 offers. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Wow, yeah, absolutely. And they're all over asking. in fact, exceeding $1,200 per square foot. Oh, wow, that's great. You know, our home is, is in even better condition than this house. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Then, you go home, you don't call them, and all of a sudden you see that that person's house is for sale. What happened there?
Drop the ball.
Drop the ball. See, what happened there is you were expecting them to say to you, well, we want to list our house, and why don't you come on over?
Here's the business. Yeah.
Yeah, but people don't do that typically in this business. They don't just go, here, take my business. They want to be pursued. They want you to pick up the phone and go, hey, listen, it was really great meeting you at the open house. I just wanted to follow up with you. It seemed like you had a lot of information on the market in your area. Just out of curiosity, were you ever thinking of selling? Oh, that one question changes your opportunities greatly. Now, if they still lie to you and say, oh, no, we're not going to sell, well, then screw them, don't worry about it. But if that one question could change, the course of your future, that's a big question to not to forget to ask. And now, yes, it is a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes to ask these questions in the moment, but eventually, if you get used to following up all the time and asking those questions, eventually you're going to ask those questions right there in the moment, because you know what, you're going to realize it's not a scary question to ask. And in fact, most people are not going to be insulted by that. So my point is make sure whenever you're doing an open house, whenever you're doing any of these things, make sure you're doing your lead cultivation and conversion follow-up as much as possible. In fact, some of the best people in our office, I know Robert Howell does this all the time, is he'll do it right there at the actual open house. And he'll say, you're throwing on a lot of like stats. He might not say it exactly like this. He might say it a little bit differently, but you get the idea. You're throwing out a lot of stats. I have to ask, are you thinking of possibly selling your property? Oh, I don't know. Well, I felt a little hesitation there. I'd be happy to come over, after the open house and give you a CMA. And then you go to the open house and you're looking around. Listen, if the CMA works out, is there anything that's holding you back from listing your property? Sounds like you feel it's worth $1,200 per square foot. I do think it's in better condition than the property that I'm just selling right now. So if we were to list it at $1,200 per square foot, your home would be worth about this much. Would you be willing to sell it for that right now in today's market? Yes, you would. Great. And I'm very confident that we'll be able to do that because we're already going to be in escrow for over $1,200 per square foot. Therefore, we're probably going to get even more than the last sale. They'll be excited, sign it right there on the spot. You just got yourself a listing because you asked the question. Now, I want to go back over to preparation. Preparation is extremely important. You want to make sure ahead of the open house that you have your marketing is already taken care of. You already have everything. Let's say you're going to sit the open house in a week from now. You want to be working on that stuff a week ahead of time. You want to make sure you have your sign-in sheets. You want to make sure you have your flyers and marketing stuff. You want to make sure your logo's everywhere with something of information. You're going to want to have comps printed out for the property. You're going to want to have other listings that are in the area that are also for sale that are comparable to the property. Let me ask you, why do I want to have other listings in the neighborhood that are not my listing or not the listing that I'm sitting, but they're comparable? They're the competition, frankly. Why do I want to have a printout of all those properties?
To give possible neighbors the idea, at least, like, hey, these comps are going for this price. Maybe I could sell my property for something similar, just to at least plant the seed.
Yeah, sure. I like that. That works. Absolutely. There's another reason though, too. What if, just out of curiosity, let's say a buyer comes into the open house, right?
Right.
They're walking around, they're looking at everything. They're like, wow, I love this place. And I love this neighborhood. I want to live in this neighborhood. Oh gosh, looking at the backyard, there really isn't much of a backyard. It's like 8 feet wide by 40 feet, the width of the lot, but it's really just 8 feet by 40 feet. Is this the whole backyard? Is there anything behind the wall, the retaining wall back there? No, that's it. Oh, shoot. Yeah, this house isn't going to work for us. I'm sorry. Gosh, I really want this neighborhood though. I wish there was another house in this neighborhood that I could possibly see today.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, wait. I have a list of all the other properties that are for sale right now. And this one has a 20,000 square foot lot and ours is only a 10,000 square foot lot. Would you want to go take a look at that property? It's a 2,000 square foot home on a 20,000 square foot lot. And it's for about $200,000 more than our property. And I'm guessing it's because of the lot size, but you want to go take a look at that? Right after this open house, I can call the agent. We can take you right over there. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Just question though. If I take you over there, are you willing to write an offer through me? You are? Great. Let's go ahead and do that. In fact, I might even put a be back in 20 minutes sign on my open house. So my point is we want to have comparable properties with us in the event we find out that this house ain't for them, because then we have an opportunity to pick up a buyer and represent them on another sale in the neighborhood. And I'll tell you this, if you have your name on the sales side and also on a buy side for two different properties in the neighborhood, or maybe even a buy and sell side on one property and just a buy side on the other property, you got 3 transactions in one neighborhood. Who do you think is taking client share in that neighborhood now? You are. So the point is make sure you're prepared for all these different variables. It should be automatic eventually. Now, I know we're all just starting right now and it's a lot of information to take in. It's a lot of things to remember. But my point is get used to this type of preparation for all your open houses, because then eventually it becomes systematic. It's not even anything you have to think about. Every single open house I do these things. And then boom, you're ready to go. So my point is remember, preparation is key, and also lead cultivation and follow-up is super important. Awesome. Okay.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Jeff, can I share a quote I heard recently?
I would love that. Absolutely.
I heard this pretty recently. The vague get punished.
The vague gets punished.
Yeah, the vague gets punished, and I'm starting to like realize that. I'm still a new agent, but the more prep work I do, and the more organized I am before going into like an open house, for example. I mean, everything that you just presented to us, that's all the prep work and everything that goes into it, beforehand.
You better know it, man. That is spot on. Don't be vague. Be very specific. Be very well, what's the thing that Josh always says? Be very purposeful.
Right.
Do everything with purpose. There's a purpose for this.
Right.
And being vague and maybe meek, or maybe a little unsure, you're gonna get spanked for it. Trust me. 100%. Good point, man. I love that. I love that quote. The vague gets punished. I'm gonna write that down actually. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this video real quick. I think it'll be great for everyone, and we'll have a quick discussion after the video.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pollack, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house, or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And then I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that they're able to sell a home, or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with the appointment. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face to face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end and they'll sign that contract, and then you can move forward. The last step is you've signed them up, and now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
Awesome. All right, what are some things that stood out in that video? Come on, not all at once.
I would say, Jared, it's a good opportunity to build rapport, with people, either like in your database or people that you're meeting for the first time, like friends of friends. Like the video was stating, somebody that's like newlywed or like a family that's growing. Ask those probing questions, and then I really think just being genuine and having that good dialogue will take you very far.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I like the one where be careful with this one. If somebody looks pregnant, don't necessarily, if you're a guy, don't
no.
pregnant. But
No.
I'm saying in the she was saying something like,
Yeah.
you see a ring, or if somebody looks like they're pregnant,
Right.
careful with that one, guys.
Definitely.
But yes, you want to be able to find them motivated. You also want to ask probing questions, and be used to being direct about it. Right. If somebody has a, if they're really your friend, they're not going to be insulted by you asking, hey, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Or like, any of those types of questions. Don't be afraid to ask those things.
Right.
And even if they're not your friend, don't be afraid to ask those things, because really it's not anything to be scared of. You're just asking, do you have a need? Because if you do, I'd love to help you. It's that simple. So just make sure you're used to and accustomed to asking those questions. Actually, quick question. Who was it who just wrote an offer recently?
I did.
Oh, there we go. All right, there you are. Awesome. By the by, how did you find that client?
It's for myself, not for somebody else.
Oh, it's for yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you're buying a house. Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. Well, that's awesome. Well, you can be your own client as well, everybody. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, in any event, I find my buyers in a multitude of different ways. Sometimes it's Instagram, sometimes it's in person, sometimes, it's all over the place. But speaking of, does anybody know a $5 million property in Palisades? Okay, just wondering. Nobody? Stephanie, it looked like
No, I don't.
There's a one that Robert.
I was gonna say, I wish I did.
Well, I'm looking for pockets for buyers right now, and I met them at my party that I threw. So, okay, all right, thank you.
There's one at Mahalan and Lower Canyon. That looks like Palisades. Better views.
Yes, they want to know.
That house is super beautiful, Jared. The Robert Howell, he represents that house.
Oh, yeah. I have to go look it up. I think that was listed. It might be a different house, but anyway, I'm going to look it up. I'm not sure which one it is, but I'll have to take a look at it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Robert gets some pretty nice listings, and it's not
super beautiful.
Yeah, definitely not on accident. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let me get back to the material real quick. I got to switch it around on my screen. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, all right, moving forward, do your market research. Let's see. Okay, so let me ask you all some questions. I want to have you all come up with some responses for me. So if everybody can focus for a hot second and get off of me and start sharing some answers with us, that would be great. If you had a buyer who said this, we're going to go through some role play situations. If you have a buyer who says, what's in my available price range? How would you respond to that? You just met them.
So I think the first question or the first piece of information, to find or to figure out is like, what is their price range, right? This is like assuming that we don't already know it.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're asking you because they think the real estate agent is going to tell them what's in their price range.
I would ask them if they're pre-approved yet. Have they been pre-approved?
Boom. Well, have you spoken to a lender yet? Oh, no, we haven't spoken to a lender yet. Well, that's going to be your first step. I think we should speak to a lender because they will tell you exactly how much you're pre-approved for, unless you tell me you have $3 million in the bank account that you can just spend. Oh, you don't? Great. So we're going to use a loan. Awesome. So then, yeah, I think the first step would be to speak to a lender. That's how we'll find out how much you can get approved for and what your price range is. Oh, well, I've never spoken to a lender before. Do you have anybody you can recommend? Absolutely. I have a whole bunch that I can recommend to you. Here you go. And once you speak with them, they're going to review your debt to income ratio, your credit score, and they're going to determine what they would feel comfortable or what the bank would feel comfortable lending to you, including your down payment, including your monthly mortgage payments, including principal, insurance, taxes, and interest. And that's how we're going to find out how much you can afford. They go, okay, great, let's do that. And then you get them with a lender. So that would be the number one thing I would ask. All right, so let's see. I don't think I can afford to buy a house.
You could answer with the same question, like, have you met with the lender?
Bingo. Answer them with the same one as the other one. Well, I don't know. Have you spoken to a lender yet? Oh, no, I haven't. Well, let's do that first. Maybe they can do like a soft, like, pre-qualification, not a full pre-approval, doesn't go through desktop underwriting. We could just kind of get a ballpark of what they think you could likely be approved for. That way they don't have to go through the credit and all that. They'll just give you an assumed credit or approval, which plenty of my lenders will do that. And once they figure that out, it's very cut and dry after that. That's when the hard work comes in. They'll do a full, investigation of their credit score, their debt to income ratios. They're going to have a bunch of bank statements that they turn in. And that's when it's going to be a little bit more involved. But if somebody's just kind of, spitballing and you're just having a vague conversation with them, the first thing that I would do is say, listen, I'd really like you to speak with my lender. Let's get on a 3-way call. Let's talk with them. You can go over some of your stuff. If you want me to get off the call when you start talking about your income and all that kind of stuff, I have no problem with that. That can be private. I don't need to know that information. The lender does. But based on what you tell the lender, they'll be able to tell us what you could afford. And if you can afford a house, or if there's a couple things that you could do that could help increase, how much you can afford. So anyway, so definitely very good. I'm thinking about waiting until next year. What would you ask? What would your follow-up be if somebody said, thinking about waiting until next year?
I would ask the same exact question. I would just be like, hey, have you talked to a lender yet?
Yeah, I would pretty much go, hey, well, have you talked to a lender? Maybe you could buy now. But what I would ask before that, though, personally, I would say, why do you feel you need to wait until next year? Because I want to qualify that. I want to understand, why do you feel it's important for you to wait until next year? Now, if they respond with something like, well, I think prices are going to go down in a year. Gotcha. You think prices are going to go down next year? Well, just out of curiosity, are you paying all cash? And they respond with no. Oh, you're not paying all cash. Okay. Do you know what interest rates are right now? Yeah, I heard they're really low, but so what? I pay a little bit more each month. It's not a big deal. Well, maybe. Let's see about how interest rates kind of correspond to that. I used to have the numbers out in front of me, and I don't have them right now. But let's say you're talking about $1 million property. If they go down, $100,000 in price, but they go up like 1% in interest rate, it's almost a wash. It's pretty much like the same amount of monthly mortgage payment. That might not be exacting, but it's pretty much right there. It's surprising. So what a lot of people don't realize is interest rates sometimes way outweighs the purchase price of a property over the long term. It could mean $100,000 to $200,000 paid over the course of ownership. So I would bring that point up to them and I would beg them to go talk with the lender, and then also do a scenario. Well, what would it be if the prices went down $100,000, but interest rates went up 1 or 2%? Keep in mind, about I think it's actually like even higher than that. I think it's almost like 7 to 8% is a normal interest rate. Nowadays, it's like in the 3s and 4s, you know, for some, and even lower for others. So the point is definitely drive that point into them. And I feel like a jackass because I used to have like a conversion chart to like what the difference would be in payments. And since I moved out of the office and started my home office, I don't know where I put it, which I feel really dumb about. But anyway, look that up. There should be a conversion interest versus purchase price. It's a very, very useful tool to be able to bring that up to somebody. And frankly, if I was having the conversation, I would look that up right away because it's very important to bring up. Okay. Can you help me find an investment property? What type of, well, let me ask you, how would you respond to that? How would you respond if somebody said, can you help me find an investment property?
For sure.
For sure, 100%. Yes. Yes, I can.
Absolutely.
So after that, after you say, for sure, I can help you out, what would you say after that?
Just show them what property and how much income and the cap rate and all that stuff, and what's the best investment and where they want to live.
Wait, what are you talking about? I wanted to get a doctor's office. What do you mean? Well, never mind. I gotta go. So my point is we always want to qualify. I can absolutely help you find an investment property. What
Right.
type of investment property are you talking about? Oh, I'm looking for an office space. I have a doctor friend of mine who used to rent from me. I ended up selling my office spaces, but I figured, you know what the hell, I'm going to go get another, office space. I love doctors. They pay well. Let's do that. So that's what I'm looking for. Or I'm looking for a ghost kitchen for my, company. I have a ghost kitchen that I make food for businesses for delivery purposes. Or I'm looking for a 2-unit, building, a duplex, or I'm looking for a triplex, or I'm looking for versus I'm looking for a hotel. I want to buy a 300-room hotel in the prime Beverly Hills location, and I have a $400 million budget. Can I help them with that property? I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to go talk to a commercial agent who specializes in those types of deals, and I'm going to bring them in on the deal. So yes, we want to qualify what they determine, what their definition of investment property is. So very important. We need to qualify. Okay, I can afford about $1,500 per. Somebody saying something? No. Okay. I can afford about $1,500 per month for my living expenses, and I'd like to live in blank neighborhood of high price homes that the buyer cannot afford. What would we say there? I can afford about $1,500 a month on a mortgage, but I'd like to live in Beverly Hills.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. But the guy said he can afford $1,500 a month. So isn't there a purpose and maybe asking, hey, listen, I'd love to live in Beverly Hills too. My favorite car, if it's going to be completely honest with you right now, is I don't know. I really don't care about cars, so I'm just going to make up a car, a Lamborghini, something or other. I don't care about cars personally. But, I really want a Lamborghini, but I can only afford a Jaguar. So I drive a Jaguar. I know that you want to live in Beverly Hills, but are there other areas that you might be willing to live in that might not be a Ferrari, but it's a Jaguar? It's still pretty damn nice. Yeah, why not? Have that conversation.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say too, you could find out like what they love about Beverly Hills and say, oh, I've heard, you can have that in downtown Culver City, whatever.
I love that answer even more. That's even better than that. You should teach the class. No, yeah, that's even 10 times better of an analogy or a line of questioning. What is it about Beverly Hills that you love so much? And they'll tell you, I really love the school systems for my kids. I really love that it's a really beautiful neighborhood. I like the old growth trees when I go down the street. Oh, great. Funny, there's a couple other areas around the city, much more affordable, and they also have all these great qualities. Would you ever consider living in those areas as well? Plus, the best part is with the down payment that you're looking to do, plus your living expenses of, I'm going to bump it up, $1,500 a month is just too low for Los Angeles to begin with. But let's say they said I can afford $3,000 a month, or let's say $4,000 a month on a mortgage or something like that. And they really want to live in Beverly Hills. Probably not going to happen, but maybe we can look in areas like, West Bel Air. Maybe we can look in areas in West Los Angeles. Maybe we can look in areas in Culver City or Mar Vista or Jefferson Park, or, all these other areas that are up and coming and are really, really cute and really nice, have a nice charm to it. Let's ask them if they're open to those. Absolutely. Love that answer, Stephanie, by the way. Good job. That's awesome. So yes, these are all great, questions, and we should be ready to answer all those things. Okay. Know your terms, list price to sales price. The final sales price, what a buyer pays for the home, divided by the last list price as a percentage. If it's above 100% and the home sold for that list price, anyway, point is, look at list to sales price ratios. It's very important. It'll say it right on the MLS for us, so you don't have to do all this math or whatever. But if a home was listed at $600,000 but ended up selling for $700,000, it'll show you the percentage of that list to sales price ratio. And you want to be able to say it's sold for 100 and blank percent above list price. Awesome. Days on market. The number of days a listing is active on the multiple listing service, MLS, before it is entered into a pending status. Pending is when an offer has been accepted by the seller, but the transaction is not yet closed. Okay, average days on market. The total days on market of each listing divided by the number of listings. So we want to know about what are the average days on market for a given neighborhood. You could do it by the entire city. What's the average days on market for all the homes in Los Angeles? Or you can do it by neighborhood. What's the average days on market for homes in the Fairburn School District, whatever, or Westwood, whatever. Awesome. BINS, forget that. I don't really use that. IDX, well, let me just read it out. Buyer Instant Notification System, which allows them to store search preferences. The BINS is basically when you set up a search for somebody on the MLS. I do use that. No one's gonna ever ask you what the BINS is or whatever. Just know that that's how you send your clients listings and stuff like that. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange. It provides consumers with access to your local MLS right from your website. Yes, we have IDX in all of our Keller Williams web pages. That's also important. I'm not sure why it's really added into here. You just need to know that we have it. So that's great. Anyway, market statistics. List price to sales price ratio. We want to know these terms. I would like everybody to kind of go through this on their own. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We do have quite a few pages. I don't think we're going to get through all 67, but I just want to make sure everybody goes through these. So page 16, very good place for you to kind of check out. Make sure you do that. It's important. Up to you. Okay, local information. We want to know school district information. We want to know the school district inside and out, and also remember though, to the best of our knowledge. This is very important. If you're not 100% sure that this house falls into this school district, don't say it is. make sure you say, do your own due diligence. I would contact the school directly to make sure that this is in, the district that you're looking for. Very important that you do that, because in Los Angeles, LAUSD, if you're not in the right district, your kid's not going to that school, more than likely. Local resources. Yeah, absolutely. Know all the shops and restaurants and, stuff that are in the neighborhood, so you can articulate that to your buyers. Put yourself in your buyer's shoes. What would you want? What would you want to know about the area you are moving to? This type of information is readily available from your title company or local chamber of commerce. Where else can we get some of this information on? Google search. Use Google. Yelp. Yelp is a great option too. Stand in the listing and search for Postmates. See what restaurants come up in the area. There's a lot of different things you can use to see what kind of resources are in the neighborhood. Okay. This is a activity that we would do if we were in the class, or if we had 12 hours in a day to sit in class all day, but we're not going to do that right now. Qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation. Okay. So why do we qualify first? So for example, qualify them. Are they an actual buyer? Get the appointment for the buyer consultation. Whether you are speaking to someone in your sphere, a referral who has expressed interest in buying, responding to a buyer's sign calls or inquiries from an open house, or making contact with a buyer looking for a private properties on your website, you have two goals. You want to qualify them. Are they actual buyers? And also get the appointment, get the buyer consultation. Why do we want to qualify first? What is so important about qualifying our buyers? Remember, I said before, yeah, you want an investment property? Oh, well, I'm going to tell you exactly what the cap rate and how much this is. Wait a second, I'm looking for a hotel. Oh, shit. We want to qualify. We want to make sure we know that we qualify before we start giving them information, and make sure that they're what are they looking for? Is it realistic? Is it something that we could actually help them with? What's the what? So what are some other reasons why we will want to qualify?
Because we know how much price they can afford.
Yeah, what can they actually afford? What's really in their budget? What are some other reasons that we would qualify?
Runs more faster. The transaction.
Pardon?
The transaction goes more faster.
Yeah, it runs a little more smoothly. It's quicker. We're able to help them a little bit more efficiently. We're not, assuming or questioning or whatever. We are asking the questions up front, so we know exactly what we're looking for. We're being purposeful. Here's some other stuff that I know of. Let's see. To avoid wasting time with them. They may not be qualified to buy. They may have another agent they're working with. They may not be serious about buying. They may just be checking prices of houses to determine what their house is worth, etc. These are very, very important things to ask. What if you're sitting in an open house, all of a sudden you get a phone call and it's somebody going, "Hi, I'd like some information on the property." "Oh, great. How did you get this number?" "Well, I'm actually out in front of the house." "Well, we're having an open house right now. Do you want to come in?" "Well, no, I was just wondering, do you guys have a big backyard? What are they doing right there in that situation?"
Just wasting your time.
Probably. But other than that, I think they're just trying to eliminate the property off their list. They already looked at the house. They're like, "Oh God, I don't really like it. Ugh, it looks like shit." "Well, let's at least see if it has a good backyard for the kids." "All right, fine, let's call them. Hi, do you have a backyard?" "Oh, you do?" "Yeah, I guess they have a backyard." "Yeah, well, I don't know." And then, what I would probably say is, "Well, yeah, we do have a backyard. Is that something that's important to you?" "Yeah, it's one of our biggest, criteria. Just out of curiosity, what do you think of this house since you're sitting outside in front of it without coming in? What's your thoughts?" We really don't like the exterior. We really don't like this. We really don't like that." Okay, well, why don't you come on inside for a second, take a look around, and then I could have a conversation with you about what you're really looking for. Oh, yeah, I guess, okay. Yeah, no, I have a list of like all the other listings in the neighborhood. You know, maybe if this house isn't for you, we can find something else that works for you. Oh, but don't you just represent this house? Well, yes, of course. First and foremost, my purpose is here to sell this property. But if this is a property that you're not going to be interested in, I would be happy to be able to assist you in finding another property. Oh, okay. And now you just picked up a buyer, and you know, you figure out what their you know, real driving factor is. And also, you may just find out that they're bullshitters and they're not even interested and they're not even looking. So, okay, when buyers call on a property they saw online or driving by, this sounds like an instant client, right? No, buyers who are calling on properties often have two goals. Eliminate the property with a quick call. They want to determine if the house has potential. If it doesn't, they don't have to see it. Eliminate you. Until they are ready to make a move, they want to avoid salespeople. So how do you accomplish your goals first? By using scripts that are given to the buyer's information, blah, 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 blah. Great. So let's use this. Okay. Another National Association of Realtors fact. According to the 2014 National Association of Realtor profile of home buyers and sellers, 2/3 of all buyers interview only one agent. If you can get the appointment for the buyer consultation, you will more than likely get that buyer. Big time, very important. Qualify. Use the buyer lead sheet on the next few pages and available in your Ignite toolkit which I don't know where you find that. I think it's on Connect, where you guide you through the buyer qualification. The buyer lead sheet will help you uncover if the buyer is able, ready, and willing to purchase a home. Establish control of the conversation when a buyer calls by asking questions about price, motivation, location, wants and needs, timeline, finances, and availability. Again, we want to qualify these people. We don't just want to spin our wheels. And by the by, when you're talking with somebody who goes, oh, you're thinking of buying? Oh, I got you. I got you. I'll find you a great house. Don't even worry about it. Bro, do this all day. Hey, listen, I'll send you some stuff tomorrow. We'll talk about it later. All right, sound good? Oh, shit. See you later. Versus, great, so you want to buy. Great, that's awesome. Let me ask you a couple questions before we get any deeper into this conversation. Just out of curiosity, do you know what your price range is? No, I don't. Great. Have you talked to a lender yet? No. Okay, great. What is the reason why you're looking to buy? Well, because we're just getting married and you know, whatever. That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you two. And what location do you want to buy in? Oh, wow. Well, you know, I really want to be in Mar Vista because the schools are so great. Okay, awesome. That's amazing. Now, if you could get the perfect home, are there any wants and more importantly, any needs? So wants, remember, that'd be great if it has this. And needs are something a little bit more like it must have this. So do you have any wants or needs? Yes, it needs to have a decent sized backyard. Amazing. That's awesome. Okay, great. Decent sized backyard. Any wants? It'd be great if it had like a small pool. Okay, awesome. But it's not necessary, is it? No, it's not necessary. You know, the kids, you know, we don't even have kids yet. And frankly, we wouldn't want them to be using it until they're, you know, 5, 6, you know, something like that. Okay, great. Awesome. And what's your timeline? I don't know, like 3 years.
Wow.
Okay, interesting. What about your finances? Well, my husband just got fired and I'm a stay-at-home, you know, mom. Well, I'm not a mom yet, but I don't really work myself either. Okay, and what's your availability? I don't know, I'm going to Vegas to go party and stuff. Okay, great. So it started out great, but I was able to eliminate them based off of the last 3 questions. But then also, let's say it went great. But let me ask you, I think my original question though was, how does that sound though? Versus, yeah, I'll work with you. Great. I'll send you some stuff. Versus, hey, I'd like to ask you a couple questions before we start working together. Does one sound a little bit more professional than the other one? And does, frankly, the one that sounds more professional, does that give you more confidence in that agent over the other person who is like, I got you, bro. Don't even trip.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. When I'm with my buddies, I talk like a sailor, like I'm not, I sound like a gym bro, like, like I'm just chilling, I'm fucking around, I'm having some fun. But when I'm talking to a client, yeah, I'm still fun and like, talkative and social and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very purposeful with the questions that I'm asking because I don't want to waste my time. Because if I'm wasting my time with somebody who's not really serious, I'm not giving my real clients, my serious clients, the attention and dedication that they deserve. So we want to make sure that we are qualifying them because it's very, very important. All righty. Okay. So this is a buyer lead sheet. You can literally just screenshot this page, press Control P or whatever, and save it by the page, and like print it as a PDF or whatever. Very, very important stuff. This asks for, so for example, if somebody calls me, a friend, a referral, somebody off of Instagram, whatever it might be, I'm going to go, great. And I'm sitting at the office. I'm going to go, great. So before we get into anything, I just have a couple questions. I want to write down a few notes. First of all, let's start with the basics. And I already know your name, but name and what was your last name again? Okay, great. Awesome. And what's a great email address I can reach you at? Okay, awesome. Great. Perfect. And where do you currently live? Okay. Could you give me the street address? Could you? Oh, why do I'm just asking for the street ad. They go, why do you need my street address? I just want to see where you're living now. How you, what neighborhoods you're already living in, what you're accustomed to, etc. Okay, great. Any kids? Married? No? All right, cool. Awesome. And what's the best number to reach you at? I have your cell phone. Is this your cell phone? It is? Okay, great. Awesome. And do you have a home line or an office? No? Okay, perfect. Now, what's the best way I can get in touch with you? Awesome. And what time of day typically works for you? Okay, great. And then I'm going to go down to some more pre-qualification questions. All right, now that we got the simple stuff out of the way, here's some other things that I'd really like to ask you. This is just going to help me service you even better. My whole goal here is to find exactly what you're looking for and not what you're not looking for. And I just want to make sure I don't waste any of your time. So by answering these questions, it might seem redundant, might even seem a little bit, TMI, but for me, it really does help me do my job and assist you even better. Has any agent taken you out to show properties? Yes or no? If they answer yes, how is that going so far? Hopefully it's shitty. Is there anybody else buying the home with you? Yeah, my husband. Great. Who will be living in your home? My husband and hopefully my kids one day. How long have you been looking for a home? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just curious, why are you moving? Blah, 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 blah. So the point is all of these questions, and it's a long one, are you renting or do you own a home? And now, if all of a sudden they get down to number 7 and they're going, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. Is this going to go any longer? I'm a little bit busy right now. What does that say to me?
They're not that interested.
That they're not serious.
They're not that interested. And they might just be looky-loos. And with that answer, I would reply with, oh, I'm so sorry. I understand that you're looking for a home. And for many people, this is the largest financial decision they're going to make. This isn't that important to you right now? No, it is. I'm just literally running out to a meeting and I have to be there in 5 minutes. Okay, great. Can I call you a little bit later on today to finish this up? No, I'll reach out to you. Okay. They're going to go into my D list of potential clients and they're just going to get like spam mailed basically. And I might follow up with them one more time just to be like, hey, I just wanted to follow up with you, see if we can pick up where we left off on the buyer consultation. And if now is a good time for you. If they still keep saying no, I'll ask them again. Well, just out of curiosity, are you working with any other agents? No, I'm not. I'd be like, great. Well, have you talked to a lender yet? I'll be a little bit more direct at this point. And I'm like, no, honestly, we're not ready to buy for another couple of years. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were looking for something immediate. So the point is, though, if somebody's serious and they're serious about working with somebody, they're gonna have no problem answering all these questions. They'll be like, oh my God, this guy is so, or this guy or this girl is so thorough. I really appreciate that in somebody who's assisting me. That's amazing. So anyway, definitely very important. Now, keep in mind though, the first one seemed a little bit more personal. Just curious why you're moving, but then it goes into very purposeful questions. Are you renting or do you own now? Let's see, are you going to be paying cash or will you be getting a mortgage for the purchase of your home? What price range are you comfortable with? Is there anyone else who will be involved in your home buying decisions? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 meaning it's you must buy a home as quickly as possible, and 1 meaning you are not sure you'll be really buying anything, how would you rate yourself? Anything less than a 10, what would it take you to become a 10? When do you need to be in your new home? I'd love to help you buy a home. In order to help you find the perfect home, all we need to do is set an appointment with all the decision makers so I can help get you what you want in the time that you want it. What is the best time to meet? Day or time, alternate day or time, et cetera, et cetera. If they have a problem answering those questions, they're probably not that serious, because those are pretty basic questions for anybody who's about to buy a home. So keep that in mind, why that questionnaire is extremely important. If you can get through that and they're very serious, you probably have a very serious buyer on your hands and you should be working with them. Okay, remember I said there's D-list buyers. I added an additional category, by the by. So A buyers. Our A buyers are ready, are able, ready, willing, they're ready, willing, and able to purchase. They will be under contract in a matter of weeks. Those are the people who understand what's happening in the market. They're ready to rock and roll. They're pre-approved. Boom. Your B buyers, they're ready and willing, but they're not able right now. Something has to happen first. Get their existing home under contract, wait for their lease to expire, get the cash from their tax refund, etc. That doesn't really happen in LA. I'll tell you that much. We don't sell $200,000 homes with very small, down payments like that. So in any event, those people, other than the person who says, I need to sell my other home, I don't know why that would be a B buyer, because that to me would be an A buyer. That's 2 transactions. Are you kidding me? That's going, whoa, you're going into a totally different list for me now. You're a seller. So I want to help you with that before we even get into the buying process. But C buyer, but everybody else that would be a B buyer, and you would probably add them onto like a drip campaign and then follow up with them like once a month or something like that. C buyers, they have no immediate need. They have a very exacting situation. For example, if they can sell their property for a very specific price or get a house on a street that they have always loved. C buyers, again, if they're saying if they can sell their property for a specific price and that specific price happens to be in an acceptable range in today's market, I don't know why that would be a C buyer. I would probably put that into an A seller, frankly, and work on that with them. But if it's unrealistic, then yes, it's a C buyer for sure. Make sense? Cool. Qualify financially. Can anybody tell me the difference between a pre-qualification and pre-approval? I'm going to take it off the screen, so I'm tricking you guys and girls. What's the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification?
I think pre-qualification is before the approval, like it's not that serious, but pre-approval is like it's on the way. So it's a step before things get really serious.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. A pre-approval is just a much more in-depth look in their financial picture. Literally the definition right here. A pre-qualification is a preliminary evaluation on how much a buyer can afford to borrow using the initial information from the buyer. Again, this is a person who goes, I don't know if I'm able to buy right now. They might want to go for a pre-qualification, and I'm using that term very loosely, mind you. I would basically just say to my lender, hey, listen, I don't want to go through a full desktop underwriting. They don't have, all the information that they may need, right on hand. But one second, I need to take this call. I'm sorry. Hi, this is Jared. Yes. Okay, great. What day and time is available? Tomorrow morning, what time is available? And anything a little bit later in the morning? Yeah, 10 o'clock would be great. Okay, perfect. And just out of curiosity, I know that they painted the bumper. If it's not blended perfectly, what happens there? Okay, God forbid it just didn't match perfectly. Okay. All righty, sounds pretty good. Okay, thank you so much, dear. Okay, see you guys tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Cheers. Okay, bye. Sorry about that. I had to somebody rear-ended my car and my bumper got messed up. Anyway, okay, so yeah, pre-approval, is definitely a much more in-depth process. They're pulling their credit, a hard look at their credit. They're going their debt to income ratio, bank statements, all that fun stuff. Again, if I'm working with somebody who is kind of like, I don't know if I can afford, to buy right now, I might have them work with a lender and just say, hey, listen, without pulling their credit, and if you can just ask them what their credit score is and assumed credit, what could they afford? And they can kind of go over that, equation with them pretty simply, and they can do it verbally. They could send them an email based on, if your credit score was this, we can likely pre-approve you for that, but pending a full desktop underwriting and credit search and stuff. So both are important, but what is the benefit of a pre-approval? Can you write an offer in Los Angeles with a pre-qualification?
No.
You technically can, but it's not going to get accepted. The listing agent is going to look at it and go, wait, this is a pre-qualification, not a pre-approval. They haven't gone through desktop underwriting. They haven't done, a debt to income ratio, check. They haven't looked at their credit, pulled their credit. No, never mind. We're not looking at your offer. So no, you really can't submit an offer with a pre-qualification. Pre-approval, you're ready to rock and roll, and they're basically saying we can fund this loan, no doubt, except for a couple caveats because it does happen sometimes. But anyway, explain the benefits of a pre-approval. If I could have, let's see, who wants to be my client?
I could be your client.
Awesome, you're my client. There might not even be very much for you to say in this script, so, but if there is, feel free to chime in.
Okay.
So hey, Matt, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. So let's talk about the benefits of the pre-approval and why it's better than the pre-qualification. So it's important that you are pre-approved for the loan before you begin your home search. Pre-approval is really just a lender's determination of how much money you will be able to borrow. You'll know exactly what price range you can afford, and you'll know exactly what price range you can afford. When you find the home that you love, you'll be able to take action quickly. Sellers will be more likely to accept an offer from a pre-approved buyer. And finally, you can see if there are any errors on your credit report and that you can resolve them right away. Would you like me to have one of my lenders call you to help you with your pre-approval? When is the best time? Makes sense. So now typically I say the exact same thing pretty much on my conversations with my buyers. But typically I say something a little bit more fun than that. So for example, something that I like to use is an example of something that really actually did happen. I was working with, like, I wouldn't call them like an A-list celebrity, but like, a C+ list celebrity, almost a B-list celebrity. Anyway, I was talking with them about, if they were pre-approved or not. And they were like, no, I got a lot of cash in my bank account. I have a couple $1 million, I think that's enough. I was like, well, great, that should be enough. Awesome. And then we talked about it a little bit more, and I met with a lender with her, and they went over their stuff. And they found out because she hasn't worked in the last 3 years, even though she's got a couple million in the bank, she couldn't approve for any loan. None. They wouldn't give her a loan. I mean, they would, but it would be an astronomically high interest rate. And frankly, it just didn't make sense. So she had to basically take a job just so she could buy a house. So it was kind of funny, but it was actually something that really happened. And so what I usually will do is I'll have the conversation. Matt, you'll be my buddy that I'm talking to again. So hey, Matt, have you gotten pre-approved yet?
No, I actually haven't.
Okay. And what do you think, ballpark, what do you think your price range is going to be?
I was thinking like maybe between 500 and 600,000. I just wasn't too sure.
Okay. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, no, that's a great starter home price range. But listen, one of the most important reasons why I recommend people get pre-approved right away. One, if we're going to write an offer on something, let's find something that you fall in love with. The listing agent is probably not going to definitively say they're not going to take it seriously unless it's attached with the pre-approval. The pre-approval goes over your debt to income ratio, goes over all your finances, how much you have in your bank account, and also your credit scores. The reason why this is important, and I'll tell you the God honest truth, I was once working with a celebrity, and because she hadn't worked in 3 years, even though she had millions of dollars in her bank account, they couldn't get approved because it showed a lack of employment history. So I know that's not the case for you, but in any event, there could be a credit report issue. There could be a car loan. There could be some debts that you have that if you just paid those off, you could get a better interest rate. So do you see why it's really important for us to go ahead, get the pre-approval taken care of up first, and then we could start looking for homes?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That makes a lot more sense.
Awesome. And you know what? Frankly, sometimes this happens. We realize, yes, you can get approved, but if you just fixed a couple of these credit issues within the next, month, which could happen that quickly, you could get a much lower interest rate. So even then, I might even tell you, hey, let's wait a month just so you can get the lower interest rate. Make sense? So let's do that first. I'll hook you up with my lender. She's great. And we can get that taken care of. Sound good?
Okay. No, that sounds good.
Awesome. Sounds pretty good, man. So yeah, so that's what I pretty much do with my clients. It works great. It's in my own vernacular. I feel comfortable when I'm saying that. And plus it doesn't sound so dry. So very good stuff. Okay, 7 critical points in the mortgage process for realtors. Okay, so one is the initial handoff. This is when you're introducing your client to the lender. So this is when you are going to be handing off your client to the lender. A great lender is going to be like your teammate on a football team. They're your running back. You're the QB. You just want to hand it off to them. And that might not be the best analogy, but the point is they're amazing resource to you. They're going to be the ones who are guiding them on their pre-approval process, and you want to make sure that you have a lender who's accountable for what their responsibility and their role is. Frankly, what I like to do is when I'm talking to somebody, I'll say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you my lender's number, but is it all right if I also give them your number so they can reach out to you proactively? Sometimes we get a little bit busy and we forget, but this way, they can give you a call at your convenience, and you two can set up a time. Oh yeah, great. And also another cool thing is anything that you discuss with the lender, I don't have to know about it. They'll just basically tell me what you can afford, how much at what rate you can afford it, and what your down payment is. And that's really all I need to know. And that makes my friends feel a lot more comfortable about working with me. Truth be told, I usually know all that stuff because I do want to know, and I'm nosy, but also because I want to make sure nothing wrong is going to happen in the transaction. But, you just want to make your friends and family feel comfortable if it's somebody like that. Ironically, strangers are much more willing to share their personal financial information with you. Strange, right? Anyway, pre-qualification, pre-approval. We want to make sure that happens. First it's going to start with a pre-qual. Then when they're really serious, we'll get into the pre-approval, or if they are serious from the get-go, we'll just go right into the pre-approval. Expectation setting on the what's, when's, and how's. Once you've planned your placed your buyers, into a loan officer's hands, and the initial evaluation has been made of the buyer's financial strength, it's a good time to let the loan officer know what events in the mortgage process you want to know about or not know, and when you want to be updated. So for example, I don't want to know, how much money they make every single year. They're a friend of mine. They've already expressed that they don't want to share that information with me, etc. But also, hey, this buyer is really serious. We're going to be writing offers, tomorrow. We want to make sure we have those conversations. And then once we're in escrow, we're going to want to know exactly where they stand. And I'd really, really love to have a daily update on what's happening once we're in escrow. Reinforcing the loan requirements to the buyer. There's no denying that reinforcing loan requirements to the buyer. So really, really important stuff. You're going to want to explain to your buyers that this is going to be potentially a stressful time for them. There's going to be a lot of paperwork that they're going to have to do once they're in escrow, especially. And then also getting everything to the lender in a timely fashion. It's very important. And then also making sure that they don't go ahead and use their credit card everywhere and buy very expensive things, because that can affect their credit and frankly, their ability to close on the property. Unexpected event, life continues to happen during mortgage process, which can occasionally change the circumstances of the deal. Be sure your buyer knows the importance of communicating any changes as soon as possible. Contact your loan officer immediately upon learning about the buyer's changes of jobs, getting divorced or married, or that something has happened to the property that will lead to the renegotiation of the contract and terms. A good lender can scramble to find viable loan alternatives, but time is of the essence. Absolutely, very, very important stuff. Post-approval lockdown. Once your buyer has received final loan approval, congratulate them, but also tell them that between now and the loan closing is a terrible time to buy a new car, furniture, incur new debts, quit a job, etc. They will get this same message from the lender, but you would be amazed at how often it is forgotten or ignored, and that the lender will run a quick check on the buyer right before closing. Keep that in mind. The lender will likely check all this stuff right before closing one more time. They're going to let them know, hey, we're going to probably check, all this stuff one more time just before we close, just to make sure nothing has changed. I've seen this happen a couple times. I had all of a sudden a buyer show up to a house that they were in escrow with in a brand new car. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We had this conversation 3 times. They still got the car. Luckily enough, it didn't affect them because they had stellar credit, but it was a nervous moment. So keep that in mind. Talk to your buyers. They're going to get excited. For some reason, when people start spending big amounts of money, they want to spend more money in other areas. So keep that in mind. It happens. Loan closing. You gave your loan officer the specifics of the loan, closing date, time, etc., and all that fun stuff. How important is it to be very clear with your lending officer that we have a 30-day escrow versus a 45-day escrow versus an 18-day escrow? Why is telling that to your lender very important? Anyone? Don't we have contingency periods for the loan? Do we have contingency periods for the loan?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And does that contingency period happen before we close escrow? Oh,
No.
yeah. Yes, it does. Yes. So for example, if I have a very, 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 very competitive offer out on the table, the listing agent divulges to me when I'm writing the offer, hey, listen, they really want to sell it for $1,200,000. your offer is at $1,180,000. It is the highest offer, except for the one offer that's $1,200,000, right on the nose. You're second. But here's the thing. If you can lower your mortgage, your escrow period to a 20-day escrow instead of a 30-day escrow, we'll give you the deal, because they need to buy this other house in the next 30 days. So if you can close in 20, they're going to take your offer over the other people and lose the $20,000. No problem, no questions asked. Would that be smart of me to call my lender and say, hey, can you close in 20 days? Or can you close in 18 days? Can you get the loan docs all done complete in 18 days? Can you? Yeah, that would be very important for me to ask. I know a lot of agents who will just say that they can do it and they won't, which is really not a cool thing to do, because I would remember that if I was on the listing side, and the next time you submit an offer, I'd be like, you're full of shit. But that happens. And if you're able to do that with your lender, and you're able to confirm that they have the ability to close in that short amount of time, that's just going to make you seem that much better. Listen, things happen when you're in escrow, and there are not always, but very frequently, there's going to be a delay here or there somewhere. And typically it could be, a couple days. Something happens, it falls on a weekend, it is what it is. But we want to eliminate as many delays as possible. So we want to have these conversations with their loan officer ahead of time, so they know fully what the expectations are in the escrow process. Make sense? Hopefully it does. Thank you. Another thing that I'd like to bring up. If you are in a deal and you want to have some, I don't know, negotiating power, we want to walk into the deal with the listing agent feeling very confident that we are going to stick to the contract. There may be some times in the deal that you're going to have to renegotiate some terms. Maybe that you need an extension on the inspection period. Maybe you need a credit for some repairs that are going to be happening. You want to be able to hold up to those, hey, again, we're going to be closing in 20 days. Hey, we're going to be, we have an 18-day loan contingency, blah, 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 blah. And the reason why that's so important, it's not always going to be because they have to move to another place or whatever. It might just be because that would be the preferred terms, so they could just be done with it. I just don't want to be in escrow for too long, whatever. But if all of a sudden you go, oh, you know what, I need a credit here. Oh, I need a credit there. Oh, you know what, I need to extend my investigation period. Oh, you know what, we're going to do some more inspections, so we're not going to remove the inspection contingency. Oh, and you know what, by the by, we're going to be 5 days late on our loan contingency, which is going to push our escrow even further. At this point, we're in breach of contract in a bunch of different locations in our deal. That's going to piss off the seller like no other. They will get very, very angry, and they may threaten to cancel the deal. What is the only way a seller can cancel the deal?
If the buyer breaks the contract.
Boom. If we go past our contingency dates, if we break contract, and if that happens, the seller can walk away for any reason. As long as they serve you a notice to perform within 2 days, they can cancel that contract like it never even happened. And yes, they'll return the buyer's earnest money deposit. But I can tell you this right now, if you are able to keep to the contract as much as possible and remind your buyers that this is what we need to do, because if something big does happen, now we have some leverage to say, hey, listen, this is unforeseeable. These things happen. We're staying to our contract. We removed our inspection contingencies. We waived our request for repairs. We're doing exactly what you want. Unfortunately, though, because our closing date fell on a weekend, which we can't close, we're going to need to extend the escrow for another 3 days or something like that. please let your seller know that we're not doing this because we're trying to jerk you around or anything. It's just, it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Are they more inclined to work with you in that scenario if you've been performing consistently? Absolutely. So for example, if I'm performing through the deal, but I know that there may be a hiccup somewhere down the road, like let's say with the loan, because I spoke with the lender, because I did my due diligence, and because I'm performing everywhere else, they may give me a little bit of leeway on that. And that's what we're trying to look for here. But we also want to have clear communication with our lenders. So very important. Okay. So now that we've qualified everybody, A buyers, of course, we want to get them in the car immediately. We want to start showing them homes ASAP. A B buyer, we want to identify their needs first that need to happen and what needs to happen to achieve that goal, and then put them in our database and on an 8x8 touch campaign based on their interests and keep in touch. A C buyer, we're going to manage them electronically. We're just going to put them on an 8x8 campaign, an email campaign, a drip campaign, whatever, and just start sending them stuff electronically, maybe sending a text message once or twice a month. But we want to just kind of systematize and automate that and just do it by that way. Okay. Let's see. It's already 1 o'clock and I don't like going past 1. So let's see. I'm going to try to find if there's something really, really important. No. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to try to shorten this a little bit. Sorry, we're going over. But the 3 buyer consultation, we want to make sure we try to have a consultation with all of our buyers, just like we would have a listing consultation. We're going to delve into the needs, wants, and values of our buyers. We want to showcase our services and educate and set expectations for how you will work together. And then more importantly, what we always want to try to go for is a signed buyer representation agreement. The buyer consultation is what the customer experience is all about. You are devoting your full attention to your buyers, which shows that you care deeply about finding them the right home. You are bringing your complete set of skills to the table, which demonstrates your ability to provide the kind of expertise and perspective that will enable them to make confident and informed decisions. The buyer consultation is possibly the most critical point when working with buyers because it's how you turn the appointment into a signed buyer representation agreement. So again, what is a signed buyer representation agreement, everyone?
It's just a contract between you and someone who is looking for the house so that they'll only work with you as their buying agent.
Absolutely. It's pretty much like a listing agreement, but just for buyers. I will buy a house through you and yeah, basically 100%. Very important, and it protects you from other agents swooping in on your buyers, and you can sue them for the commission. Keep in mind that lawsuit might cost you a lot of money, so make sure the commission is worth it. Very important to do that. If we don't ask for that, we could be missing some business. And it basically just says, hey, listen, I'm going to do all of this for you. And in turn, I just want you to promise to me that we're going to work together. All right, we're a team. I'm going to be searching for houses for you. You're going to be on Zillow and Redfin and Trulia and doing all that fun stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to be looking for off markets, anything new that hits the market that might not come on Zillow right away, and make sure, and more importantly, successfully and expertly negotiate this transaction on your behalf. Sound good? Great. Because this is going to take a lot of my time, I just ask that all my buyers sign a buyer representation agreement, basically stating that I promise I'm going to do all these things for you if you promise that you're going to be working with me exclusively, because I don't want to put 40 hours a week into working on your behalf for you to just run off and write an offer with the first agent that you meet at an open house or whatever. Sound about right? Sound fair? Oh yeah, that sounds fair. Okay, great. And hopefully that they're okay with that. Now, I said I was going to talk about the buyer consultation earlier, and this is going to be the last thing I talk about before we leave, but this part is very important. I don't want to give you an illusion that everybody's willing to sign a buyer representation agreement. It's not the truth. Oftentimes, a lot of people refuse to sign buyer representation agreements. People from New York, that's like typical. Every single agent in New York requests a buyer representation agreement. I wish that all agents in LA did that. Not all agents do. If I have somebody who says, I refuse to sign a buyer representation agreement, but I know that I could probably find them a house, or let's say I know that I know of an off market, or let's say I know exactly what they're looking for, I'll still work with that person, but I'm still going to ask if they're going to sign it from me. And that's a personal decision business that you're going to have to make. But more often than not, I don't have a buyer representation agreement. I'm not advocating that you don't ask for it at all. I'm saying definitely ask for it. But if they don't agree to signing it, make that business decision if it's worth it to you to work with them. A lot of people in Los Angeles are very, very savvy repeat buyers. And they know that if they go to the listing agent and offer them, to double end it, that the listing agent may reduce their commission to make their offer seem a little bit more attractive to the seller. It happens. I do it myself on listings, frankly. So just keep that in mind, that does happen in Beverly Hills. So if they don't say, okay, great, I'll use a buyer representation, you're like, okay, great. But can you at least confirm that if I find you something that you'll work with me? And that might be enough. If you get an email from them, that could be, pretty good as well. So does anybody have any questions on that before we go? Awesome. Okay, so right now I'm just blazing through the buyer consultation. This is also important. You want to look at that page. It's going to be page, I don't know, all the way down to page 44. You got to scroll back up and look at where it starts. Very important for us to look at that. Again, we should be having buyer consultations with all of our buyers. Very important. On the following pages after that, people who love scripts and reading scripts, from page 45 down to 47 are all objection handlers. So objection handlers, I think, are even more important than scripts, frankly, because they are a great way to put things into perspectives for when your buyers are not agreeing to do something. For example, objection handle 3, I don't need to work with an agent because I can find a home on my own through the internet. Again, I told you, some people feel that they're savvy enough. Searching for a home is a fun part, and we will certainly use the internet to find your home. Finding your dream home is not why you hire a buyer agent. You hire an agent to help you get the house you find. My job is to protect your interests through the home buying process and negotiate on your behalf to get you the best price and terms. Yeah, that's literally what I just said a couple minutes ago, I believe. So yes, these are very important points to point out to your buyers. I, in fact, say, listen, most of my buyers end up finding the home on the internet themselves before I even see it. I'm going to be honest with you, but that's not why they hire me. They hire me because in the highest market that we've seen on record in this last year, I was able to get for 2 of my buyers under market value homes. So I was able to save them $30,000 on one deal, $20,000 on another deal, and the other ones were usually just about $10,000, but that was done through the inspection process. So my question is do you want me to just tell you what home that you should buy? Because I think you're going to know what home you like more than I do. Or do you want me to be able to negotiate on your behalf without any emotion involved in it? So I'm able to protect your interests a little bit better than maybe even you would be able to do. And I think those are important points to bring up to our buyers. Frankly, whenever I go buy a car, I like to negotiate on my own behalf. But I remember a friend of mine came with me once, and he was able to see the big picture, and he was able to be like, dude, walk away. This is bullshit. And I did. And why? Because he doesn't have an invested interest. He's hearing it from face value. I want the car. The sales agent wants me to buy the car. We both have a shared interest. My buddy, he doesn't care if I buy the car or not. And he told me to walk away. And sure enough, the agent came running out and he was like, okay, fine. We'll do it for this. I'll throw him. I won't even take the commission. I just want the number on the charts because I can get my bonus from the whatever. Let's just do that. Do we have a deal? My buddy was like, yeah, that's what you wanted. That's what he's giving you. Let's do the deal. And it helps. Sometimes it takes that, stress away from you. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, definitely read these scripts. They're very important. They're very helpful. And objection handlers, like I said, I feel are more important than frankly scripts. With that said, if there's no other questions, we are done for the day. Have a great one. And before we go, are there any other questions before we go?
I have a quick question for the Zillow agent. Actually, I'm trying to find the seller and buyers. It's kind of hard for me to find the, as a new agent. So I'm thinking about being a Zillow agent. Do you think it's a good idea?
So I got onto Zillow when I first started real estate. And I admittedly, so I say, okay, so my first year, I did Zillow for about 1 full year. I did it for 12 months. I think maybe I did it like for 13, 14 months or something like that, but I ended up canceling it.
Oh.
The first year I did Zillow, I met, probably 40 different people. And I closed 0 deals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was a former senior project manager at a construction company where literally we would just receive calls and they'd be like, hey, I want to get this done. And I'd meet with them. I'd do a client consultation, and I get the contract signed right there on the spot. So I know how to sell. I know exactly what to do and how to do it and how to service people. I picked up the phone right away. And the way Zillow works is they first call at least when I signed up for it, they'll call the first person. If that person doesn't pick up, it goes to the next person. If that person doesn't pick up, it goes to the next person. So if you're sitting by your phone 24/7, waiting for that call, like, okay, I'm ready to take the call, you're going to miss it. And it's going to go to the next person. So one, if you're willing to sit by your phone and answer it every single time it rings, then sure, it might work. But keep in mind, I did that. And I got in the car to go meet with them at the property that day, whatever. And I did that. Most of the time they said, oh, I'm already working with a real estate agent.
Okay.
Why are you calling me? Why didn't you call them? Oh, because I didn't want to bother. I didn't want to bother them. They don't need to come with me to see the property, but thank you for showing me the house. Okay. And then I started asking, well, are you already working with an agent? And they said, yeah. I was like, well, okay, I'm sorry, but I help, buyers find the properties that they want. And it sounds like your agent's not really helping you there. So would you be interested in writing an offer through me if I show you the property? And most of them said no. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Now, I will say this though, I did close 2 transactions from buyers that I met in that process, but it was probably, I would say, after about 14 months of advertising on Zillow, I ended up closing it 18 months later.
Oh.
2 properties. Now, one of the properties was $250,000. It was one of my first sales. And then the other one was like $600,000, but that was actually full 2.5 years after I stopped using Zillow. I actually was working with that client for almost 2.5 years of knowing them because it took them that long to find something. So what is my roundabout answer? I know that Zillow is coming up with different ways of their Premier Agent where they'll actually give you seller leads and stuff like that. I would talk with them. I don't know what their new platform is like, but I remember what it was like before, and it didn't work for me. I didn't like it. Now, would I invest in Zillow if I started selling, 20 homes a year and I had some, residual income that I could, devote to that? Yeah, I would, because that would be a lot of marketing for myself. I would have no problem with that. But as a new agent, and this is how much I spent on Zillow my first year. I think it was about $16,000 for my first year. And I sold nothing. So that's just $16,000 out of my pocket for advertising expenses, which is justifiable potentially. You could argue that that's justifiable. But for me personally, I'd rather call my friends, family, meet random people out on the street, go to a dog park. If you don't like dogs, go to a park with your kids. Frankly, I know dogs that are cleaner than some kids, but that's besides the point. If you like, if you have hobbies, go get a hobby and meet people. You know, go to bars, restaurants, stuff like that. Go to networking events. When I'm first starting in real estate, if I could do it all over again, I just put in the sweat equity, my hard blood, sweat, and tears. You know, go knock on some doors, go make some calls, and do it that way, because I feel I almost got out of the business, frankly, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is costing me too much money. I don't think I can maintain this. And I ended up actually working with another agent who paid me like, I don't know, I think it was like $200 a week or something to, you know, be her assistant. And also she would give me her buyer leads and I would work with her for her buyers and stuff. But she was a very high production agent. So she did about 20, 30 deals a year. So she had enough deals to hand off to me, you know, frankly, that could keep me fed, so to speak. But I ended up leaving her because I went, you know what, I'm not building my own business now. And now that I see what agents do, I can do that myself. And I feel more comfortable doing that. Now, again, I'm not saying Zillow is bad, but I'm just saying usually it's, keep in mind when you're a small fish in a very, very big ocean, there are some big sharks out there who have, you know, $40,000 a year budgets just to advertise on Zillow. So keep that in mind, what you're going up against, and is it going to work for you? Again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying do your due diligence, really look into how that looks, and go from there. All right.
Thank you.
Frankly, I know a friend who just got into real estate recently, and his family is worth, you know, 20, 30, 40 million dollars. So yeah, for him, it's great. He's spending money left and right, and it's a write-off, you know, it's whatever, it's fine. And for him, it's working great, you know, and he's building a lot of business. But because he's able to, you know, spend that kind of money to get his business rolling, if you're not in that boat, I wouldn't do it. So just saying, you know, build your business, then start spending money. Make sense? All righty. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you all on Wednesday. Go kick some ass. Talk to you later. Cheers.
Bye.